Well, I have my little tree. We wish you a Merry Christmas is playing. Means that 2018 is almost finished. Well, let's see, I'm a little lazy. I don't want to review a movie right now. I know, why don't we do what other lazy YouTube channels do? Let's do a top 5. Now, I feel like doing a science fiction series for a top 5. Well, let's see, Rick and Morty didn't do any in 2018. Was there any other series that possibly came around this year? Was there anything else I was referencing on this channel?
Released in 2009, SteinsGate was adapted into an anime in 2011, has endeared audiences worldwide to this franchise.
And actually invented my own time leap machine. I'm going to go back. Okay, yeah, I referenced SteinsGate quite a bit this year. I mean, after all, the series, the spin-off series concluded back in September. So, why not? Let's do a top 5 SteinsGate episodes. But I'm not just going to include just the original series from 2011. I'm also going to include SteinsGate Zero from this past year. So, get ready for a top 5 SteinsGate and SteinsGate Zero episodes. First off, I think I should note, I'm not going to show any videos from the episodes because I'm afraid the organization will have YouTube take down this video. Also, it's going to be heavily spoilers in these episodes, so get ready, get set, let's go! Number 5. Oh my god, the Rounders have killed Mayuri again. You bastards! After another Mayuri death, Okabe and Kurisu have come to theorize that undoing all the D-mails could change Mayuri's fate. Well, they decide to go after the most harmful D-mail thus far, and that was basically Ferris Nunyon's email. Her email somehow changed Akihabara, a neighborhood enveloped in Moe culture, into just another district. It also erased Ferris's maid cafe, their old hangout. Since Ferris kept her D-mail very close to the chest, Okabe goes out to search for her, and finds out that she's at a game tournament. He goes to the venue and finds Ferris running from some thugs. Apparently the thugs felt pretty cheated. Okabe helps Ferris lose the thugs, and brings her to the former location of her maid cafe to try to get her to remember. And she eventually does. This is very important because it shows that Okabe is not the only person who can remember across world lines. Upon leaving, Okabe and Ferris are once again attacked by the thugs. Okabe then stands up for Ferris. Unfortunately, it doesn't go too well as he ends up becoming a sacrificial lamb. They beat the living life out of Okabe. I mean, it does show the type of character he really is, that he will take a beating for a casual acquaintance like Ferris. Luckily for Okabe, Ferris's father saves him and his daughter. He brings them back to his apartment where Rintaro is brought back to health. I think now I should probably tell you, I really, up to this point, hated Ferris Nunyon. I felt she was nothing more than just some sick, twisted person's fetish for cat girls. Nothing more than just some fan service. Also didn't help the fact that up to this point, she seemed very off-putting as a character. However, as they entered the apartment, her character eventually wears off. We found out that Ferris, his real name is Rumaho Akaha. You start seeing that her cat ear hairband is taken off. She describes herself as a very selfish person, and when she was young, she made a very stupid decision. Apparently, she was angry that her father would not attend a party, so she made up a hostage situation. Her father decided to head home, got into an airplane, and unfortunately the airplane crashed. Her email was basically to tell her father that the whole thing was fake. Of course, Okabe obviously does not want to see her father die, or the fact that Ferris's most meaningful relationship will now have to be erased. So he decides that him and Kurisu should go out and try to find an alternative. However, Rumaho stops him. She wants Mayuri to live, and it kind of really shows her true character. She will not sacrifice a friend, especially for one of her most closest family members. It really is. Ferris Nunyon is a fake persona. Rintaro Okabe uses Hoen Kiyoma as a way to avoid social anxiety. She kind of does the same with Ferris Nunyon. Romoho designed Ferris to basically be a way to hide herself, her true self, from society. She's desperately afraid from people just judging her. Ferris is basically Romoho's view of how the world should view her as a ditzy, naive cat girl. I know everybody seems to have their own takes on this. At around this point, that Romoho also decides that she should admit her true feelings for Okabe, that she's very hot for him. She even asks Okabe for a couple moments just so she could fantasize what a life with him would actually be like. Eventually, they finally get the D-mail undone, and the world line changes. Akihabara returns to its original state as it was in the beginning of the series. Okabe is back in his lab, and right in front of her is Ferris asking for her phone back. Unfortunately, since now they're in different world lines, everything we just learned about Ferris has basically been undone. After all, this Ferris has never actually dealt with all that. And so is the fate of SteinsGate, that all of her character growth is suddenly eliminated. Shows the exact drawbacks of changing the past. Number 4. Okay, the dog went over this briefly in the movie review. I have never seen a tone shift ever in a series like this before. Up to now, SteinsGate was nothing more than just a slice-of-life comedy. There's a bunch of college kids playing with elements of time travel. Should be noted that I would do the same if I had access to all this technology. Just testing the time leap machine, just go public with their findings. They decide to throw a party to celebrate their work. They even invite the part-time warrior from downstairs, Suzuha Amane. There's some great character-based humor in this episode, especially involving a cheesecake. It all unfortunately comes undone when Suzuha hears about breaking news, a bomb threat at the local train station. Suzuha also learns that the group has been hacking CERN, and she just immediately bolts out of the room. It is here where the series just changes forever.
Please return your seat backs to their full, upright, and locked position.
Everything they were doing up to now was non-consequential, but now everything has suddenly become life-threatening as a bunch of armed militants called Rounders enter the room pointing guns at them. Their leader is revealed to be Moeka. Moeka decides that it's time to murder Mayuri. Of the group. She's extremely innocent of everything. This is like killing a puppy. This good-natured person wouldn't even hurt a fly. All the innocence the series had developed through the first 11 episodes is suddenly gone. I felt compelled to put this episode on the top 5. The moment I saw the ending of this episode, I immediately marathoned the last 12 episodes of the series. To me, it was here where the roller coaster ride of SteinsGate began. Number 3. Who is FB? This was the question looming over this episode. In the previous episode, Okabe and Moeka agree to find out who is FB. They go to the locker where the IBM 5100 was placed, and to their shock, Okabe's landlord, Yuago Tenoji, or Mr. Braun, picks up the computer. They decide to confront him as well as Kurisu. When they entered his repair shop, by the way, Nai was sleeping while all this was happening, Mr. Braun reveals he in fact was FB. To allow Nai to sleep in, they all agree to go to an abandoned construction site to talk. And it is here where Mr. Braun admits he does work for CERN. He is the head of the Rounders. He gives us his backstory that he was in fact homeless and that CERN actually offered him a way out. They allowed him to work in Akihabara. It's also here where he meets Suzuha, who ended up helping him out in the early 2000s. Time travel, right? He and the Rounders are basically expendable, which he explains. It's also around this time where Mr. Braun pulls out a gun and then kills Moeka in cold blood. Kurisu and Okabe looking like deer in headlights. Mr. Braun then pulls the gun to his own head. By the way, they keep cutting back to Nai waking up and going to breakfast. Mr. Braun admits he does have a few regrets, but then decides to commit suicide. Nai is going to grow up in a world where she does not have a parent. I'm sure this will have nothing to do with the future. I mean, this is Nai we're talking about. She's the ultimate personification of innocence. Remember robotics notes? Yeah. She was an optimist. So, what possibly terrible thing that could ever happen due to the result of this?
私は許さない。お父さんを死に追いやったお前たちは許さない。
Yes, in the video game, Mr. Braun only kills himself. This causes Nai to go completely psycho. She volunteers to become a member of the Rounders, only simply for revenge. And in 2025, she exacts that revenge on Okabe, torturing and murdering him. He then uses Okabe's time leap machine, goes back over 2,000 times to 2010 so she can murder Moeka. Good luck trying to get to sleep tonight, right? Also, Okabe finds out that he has to sacrifice Kurisu to save Mayuri.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Number 2. Here we go, the future. The apocalyptic future we've always wanted to hear about. In episode 23 of the original series, we got to meet a different version of Suzuha Amane. In this one, she actually did know who her father was. But yet she still wanted to change the future. Why? What was she trying to run from? And here we get to find out. After having a nice psychedelic dream, Okabe apparently wakes up of a coma in the year 2036. Apparently he was in a coma since 2025, when he was supposed to die. Okabe stumbles out of his makeshift hospital room and walks out into Akihabara, finding out that it's basically a derelict. All the buildings are completely burned out, and a bunch of future Rounders start to surround him. Then out of nowhere comes a biker. The biker immediately starts mowing down these Rounders in some of the best action the series has yet to show. The biker immediately takes off her helmet and is revealed to be Suzuha. Suzuha immediately puts a gun to Okabe's head and demands him to identify himself. And to her shock, it is a person she hasn't seen since she was a little girl. Suzuha immediately brings Okabe back to home base. There they meet an older, much thinner version of Daru. Daru explains the situation that Okabe was in a coma. He was actually brain dead back in 2025. They implanted the memories they recorded of him back in 2011, implanted into his head, and that's the person we're currently following. Daru alerts Okabe's 2 caretakers, who we find out is Ferris and Ruka. Both are very joyed. However, Daru immediately inquires why weren't they with Okabe when he stumbled out of the hospital. Apparently they got some false information about an operation and were immediately attacked by Leskinen's Rounders. Some more great action happens, especially with Ruka going out and katanaing everybody she sees, trying to buy Ferris and the rest some time to escape. Suzuha, Daru, and Okabe immediately rush to the scene. They finally meet Ferris and the crew and immediately inquire what happened to Ruka. They went out and search for her, and they find her, standing very victorious over Leskinen's Rounders. However, the reunion was very short-lived as Ruka falls. She was mortally wounded during the fight and dies in Okabe's arms. The scene immediately cuts back to home base where we meet the future Maho. Maho is not really aged and still looks like a little kid. She makes light of it. Maho even comments on the fact that none of them seem fazed by death at this point. Okabe says he's very forgiving, but then he inquires what happened to the time leap machine, in which she implies it's still there. She had actually fixed it, and at that point, Okabe gets very determined. He is ready to go for SteinsGate, or bust. This is everything I wanted out of SteinsGate Zero. A reason. A reason why SteinsGate is so important. What are we fighting for? Why are we fighting for it? If we don't find SteinsGate, this is what happens. This is what I loved about the series. They finally showed us why SteinsGate was so important. I cannot commend the White Fox staff on the production of this episode. Everything was on point. The fluid animation. No more karate chop decapitations. The action was superb. This is the reason why we needed a SteinsGate Zero. The best SteinsGate episode ever! How can it not be? This episode is the only episode with 2 completely different endings. One that was so worthy, it got an OVA. The ultimate in Schrodinger's cat scenario, where you have scenario A plays out and scenario B. Scenario A plays out, we go to the ending. Scenario B goes out, we go to SteinsGate Zero. In the previous episode, Kurisu convinces Okabe to undo the original D-mail that started all the history changing and go back to the original world line. Of course, in this world line, Kurisu is dead, and Okabe becomes extremely depressed. In the after-credits scene, a girl named Suzuha Amane contacts Okabe and the Future Gadgets Laboratory. The episode starts out with the Future Gadget Laboratory members, Daru Mayuri and, of course, Rintaro, on the roof of the radio building in Akihabara. They meet up with Suzuha. This Suzuha is very different from the Suzuha we knew throughout the series up to this point. She knows her father is Daru. She knows the rest of the team as if she knew them all along, and refers to Okabe as Uncle Okabe. This Suzuha is not the same slacker. She's extremely goal-oriented and will stop at nothing to accomplish said goals. She grew up in a world not ruled by CERN, but an apocalyptic world where World War III, where Russia and the United States fight over time travel and virtually destroyed civilization, urging Okabe to go back to the day he met Kurisu in this world line's only meeting between the two. Okabe and Suzuha go back to July 28, 2010. If you remember in the first episode, Okabe actually goes to the roof of the radio building and sees the future figure of Suzuha getting out of the time machine. Our Okabe goes into the building and bumps immediately into Kurisu. Okabe is very distraught, yet very happy the fact he's bumping into his former lab member. Of course, Kurisu, this is the first time she's actually met him and thinks this is very strange. Okabe goes to the closet where he found Kurisu dead and hides. It is here where we find out that Dr. Nakabachi is in fact Kurisu's father. They end up going into the closet. Kurisu then reveals she has a time travel hypothesis. Of course, her father, whose entire works is based on time travel, steals it. He ends up actually pulling out a knife. At this point, Okabe reveals himself. Not wanting history to repeat itself, he disarms Dr. Makase. Of course, Dr. Nakabachi overpowers him. He ends up strangling Kurisu. Okabe immediately pulls out the knife, tries to stab Nakabachi. Unfortunately, Kurisu steps in front of her dad to protect him. Okabe accidentally stabs and kills Kurisu! Yes, it is Okabe who kills her. Of course, this is a very traumatic moment. Suzuha ends up collecting a very distraught Okabe, takes him back to the time machine, and goes back to the present. This leads us to our two endings, and I'm going to use the OVA as the first ending. In this one, Okabe just simply gives up trying to reach SteinsGate. Mayuri, in fact, stops Suzuha from trying to force Okabe to reach SteinsGate. This is where all the events of SteinsGate Zero occur. World War III happens, Okabe's life is complete hell, and in 2025, Okabe ends up making a video and sends it to himself back on July 28, 2010. Of course, he couldn't initially view it. This all leads us to our second ending, or the original ending from the original series. As Okabe walks away from Suzuha moping, saying that time travel is an abomination, Mayuri just comes up and slaps him in the face. Of course, we eventually find out this is all from the events of Zero, why this occurred. Suzuha tells Okabe to revisit the video he got in July. Of course, this is Okabe from 2025, and Okabe is actually laughing that he is still cosplaying as a mad scientist in 2025. Our Okabe at this point says, to hell with it, let's go for SteinsGate. The twists, turns, and revelations is what makes this episode so memorable. This episode serves as a final drop into the loops that SteinsGate roller coaster had left and leads us to our ultimate happy ending. This episode's importance is the reason why it is the ultimate episode of SteinsGate. And there you have it. My list for the top 5 SteinsGate and SteinsGate Zero episodes. I'm sure you have your own list, and that's what the comment section is there for. So I'm going to close out the year by simply wishing you all a great set of holidays. I'm also going to end it with the ending of the greatest holiday special ever.
Shut that door!